And that is kind of where this rotation is going on. So it's kind of sliding past Plainville, in between Plainville and Adairsville. There now, you see these new lightning strikes that are flying in there. Pretty good indicator where you get some of that rotation. It kind of flares up, and so you can see that this is something that we're having to. Now it's moving off to the northeast, 65 miles an hour. The speed of it is pretty intense across that area of North Georgia. So, Jeff, if we can we take off for a moment the tornado watch, so we can get rid of some of the red, and then we can kind of drive down into the street level and show where I-75 is coming up. There it is, the red line coming up out of Bartow County. And then here's Adairsville, and there's Plainville. So there is that rotation, and this line right there is I-75, right along State Highway 140. So, yeah, the northern reaches of Bartow County, southern reaches of Gordon County. I think Floyd County, we can remove you from that tornado warning, so that's some good news there. But this area now south of Blackwood, McDaniels, but it would be, there's Lily Pond, that community. So I'm out here in Farmville or Sonorsville. Those are the spots that I would be thinking about going to a tornado safety place. It's going to come up on you really rapidly within the next couple of minutes. So if you know some folks up there in parts of northern Bartow and southern Gordon County, just kind of give them a shout. Calhoun, this is not affecting you. You're probably getting some wind with this, but you won't see tornadic activity, neither for Resaca. Waleska, you're out of this as well right now, but certainly the community around Blackwood here. Just in the next 3 minutes, Sonoraville High School in 6 minutes. Certainly I hope they're sheltering in place right now. Petersburg, 16 minutes, and then on into Carter's Lake Marina in 19 if this continues the same track, and on into Talking Rock here within the next half hour or so. This line, again, going back in Alabama, had more of a history of damaging winds just due to the sheer force of this system. Not so much in the way of the spin-up tornadoes. We had a few in northern Alabama, southern Tennessee, but this is kind of the first one in this region. They really didn't have any activity in and around the Birmingham area, and the line has already slipped through there here this afternoon. So this warning now in effect until 3:15 this afternoon, and we'll see if that does get extended on up into parts of Gilmer County and on into the northeast regions of North Georgia. So now let's go back down into that cell. Jeff has it on the base velocity mode. Again, looking at this moving toward the radar site, showing the wind going this way, this wind's going this way, and then you start seeing that rotation just to the north there of State Highway 140 and Adairsville. So it looks like it's probably crossed I-75 as we speak, and hopefully the folks in that area are sheltering in place. Now, we don't have any confirmed reports of a tornado actually on the ground. This is a radar indicated right now. But we've got some history with this storm, certainly back in Alabama, of having the damaging winds up to at least 70 miles an hour. This has been a unique day, meaning we've had some of the parameters of North Georgia that would say, hey, yeah, this is going to be a big severe weather outbreak kind of day, what we get in the springtime, even though we're kind of in early March, but we would see. But we had a limiting factor, a couple things. We had the cloud cover out there this afternoon, or first part of the day. We had temperatures that weren't all that warm. And then we also had warmer temperatures kind of aloft that was kind of impeding some of the buildup of these storms, allowing them to rise into the atmosphere. But some of this now can, just with the sheer speed of this, can break some of that down. So there's the area around Lily Pond, Blackwood, over toward Farmville right now in Gordon County. This is kind of south of that. You can see that the lightning's still happening, not seeing much in that rotation anymore as the green has kind of gone away. You've got the bright reds here where we probably have winds up to 60, 70 miles an hour pushing out ahead of that system. And now we're also going to get wind back behind it as well. So even though this line of storms you think you're through, it's still going to be fairly gusty for the good part of the afternoon into the evening. And all this is taking place up here in parts of northwest Georgia, and you can see the general line here stretching from outside of Ellijay and Blue Ridge all the way back down to Cedartown. Now we get down here in Polk County and parts of Floyd County, a little bit there in Bartow County. You're under that severe thunderstorm warning, not included with the tornado warning, but then not so much back into Cleburne County, Alabama, and Heflin. So you're going to get some wind with that, but it's down below severe limits. And we're seeing the main energy of this kind of ride all the way back up to the north and really back to the northwest of Metro Atlanta. So this has been something to watch. You can see the red here. This is popping in. That was that tornado watch that's been extended till 8 o'clock. It includes parts of Metro Atlanta proper over towards parts of DeKalb County, Rockdale, Walton County. Anything south of I-20, not so much. Doesn't mean you won't see some wind with this. All right, going back to Fox 5 Live Viper and Jeff Hill driving. And Jeff, it doesn't look as robust as what it was earlier, just a few minutes ago. But this bright right here, boy, that's going to be some wind, isn't it, running through Bartow and Gordon County?
Quite a bit of wind. And right now, let me go pick on some of those. Click on some of these little pixels there. You can see 63-mile-an-hour wind right now with that cell as it makes its way up to the north and east. Let's go take a look at our, I think we have our Fox 5 Live Viper, or excuse me, our Fox 5 Storm Chaser out on the road and up around Floyd County, headed toward Gordon County. So there's the view of what's going on up there. And just taking a look, it doesn't look like there's any damage along the roadways. I don't see any trees down or anything like that. So that is good news. Looks like they're stopping for a train that's crossing the road ahead up there. So that's the view right now up in that part of our viewing area. So really doesn't look too bad there. And we also have a camera out of Dalton, I believe. We can go up there and see what's happening in Dalton. There you go. It just looks like kind of a cloudy day. Everybody's still driving around. The thunderstorms have kind of slipped a little bit past the Dalton area, and all this is as this all continues to move up to the north and east. So right now, I mean, whatever rotation was in that cell, it's not very apparent on the on our radar. But the National Weather Service is still holding on to that warning. So we'll continue to bring you all the information that we have on this storm. And again, that storm is making its way up to the northeast at about 60 miles an hour. So those of you in Gordon County, anywhere to the east of Calhoun, over toward Fairmont, just still be on guard. I mean, even if this storm doesn't have a tornado with it, it still could do a lot of damage with those high winds. Yeah,
just picking up, Rome just had a wind gust, Jeff, 56 miles an hour there in Floyd County at the airport. So it's something else. And then radar, Fox 5 Live Viper indicating 53-mile-an-hour winds there as it presses towards just north of Fairmont there in parts of Gordon County. So we can all clear now. Calhoun, I-75 at Daresville. You're probably getting some lightning still and some gusty winds, but the fact of the rotating part of this system now has bypassed you. So you can see how the warning now stops right at the line of Pickens County. It's now fully engulfed into Gordon County. So the only one under a tornado warning right now would be Gordon County, and that's going to last perhaps into 3:15 unless the National Weather Service deems that we're not going to extend it. And I've been monitoring that, and it looks like that they haven't come up with a decision on that. We don't see the rotation that we had earlier. Now, look what's happened, Jeff, down here in parts of Polk County, Haralson County. Now we've extended the severe thunderstorm warning for that line. Now with this line, it's moving into an environment that's under the tornado watch. You could get one of those quick spit ups, but the biggest threat's going to be the wind, perhaps up to 60 miles an hour, stretching from Cedartown just to the north of Heflin there in Cleburne County. So not severe in Cleburne County, but they expect that storm to kind of ramp up. Remember, we talked about this area here, kind of go from Buckhannon up through Cedartown, the other side of Rome. Got a few breaks in the clouds today, right? And so we could help destabilize the atmosphere where a lot of areas, North Georgia, kind of hung out in the clouds. So that's why I think the Weather Service has pulled the warning there as far as a severe thunderstorm warning for those areas down there, Polk and Haralson County. Jeff's popped on the high-resolution satellite imagery, and that's what we're looking at. See how you get the breaks in the clouds? Look at that. Cloud cover pretty thick, Noonan, right through town and up into North Georgia, which is going to be helpful for this area as that line of storms moves that way. But boy, this area, look how it just kind of scoured it on out. So we'll see what that does if these storms enter that environment and go, okay, well, now we can kind of fire up and see if we can break through that cap and get some rotation going, because we've got the wind. See, we got winds at the surface coming up out of the south and southwest, and then you go in the upper levels of the atmosphere, mid-levels especially, and you start getting more of a southwesterly turn. So now your wind is changing direction with height. It's also changing speed with height. You don't have to go too far up, and it's racing at probably 70, 80, 90 miles an hour, and that's adding some certainly fuel to these storms, the intensity of such storms. So Jeff is on Fox 5 Live Viper This is the reflectivity mode. Now we've gone into base velocity, and I don't see any of the rotation right there with that, Jeff. It looks like it's kind of stopped its rotation, but probably, boy, it's churning out some pretty good wind out ahead of that for sure, moving in this general direction. So look at that, yeah. Just pixel querying that, 73 miles an hour. How about that? Yeah, in the 67. And Jeff, what is that now with the radar indicating? How high is that above the atmosphere right there?
That's at about 5,000 feet.
Yeah, okay. So we'll see. And so what happens now is a lot of times those thunderstorms can, with the rain, bring that wind down to the surface, right? And so it may not be 73 miles an hour, but it may be 60 plus, certainly easily down to the surface. As I mentioned, we had wind gusts of 56 there at the Rome Airport. This is a fast-moving line. It's been moving off to the east and to the northeast at 60 miles an hour. The timing has been pretty good. We looked at our high-resolution computer modeling. Remember we talked yesterday, and Jeff in here earlier today had it arriving just about at this time here, 3, 4 o'clock in parts of the North Metro area, into town here probably in the next couple of hours, and then off to the east and later on this afternoon into the first part of the evening. The severe storm threat, though, I still think is going to be riding away with this storm, and unless you get some more breaks in the clouds, and then that now is a whole new ball game. So if you're out there in Dallas and Ackworth and Canton, you kind of want the cloud cover to hang in there as long as it can, and then we're going to find a little bit more stable environment. You're still going to get the wind. Even though you don't have the strongest stability, you're still going to get the wind, and the wind is going to be a big story from the rest of the afternoon and on into the evening. Then you can see how severe thunderstorm warnings up here continue for parts of Gilmer County, Murray County, and Fannin County, moving up into the mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina. But as we look at the base velocity, we're not seeing a whole lot of green showing up on there, so we're not seeing the rotation of such storms. So as we continue to monitor, see how we had it back here between Plainville and Adairsville, and then it just kind of went away, and we're not seeing that rotation anymore. So let's see what the Weather Service is saying about this as they monitor this down in Peachtree City. And it so it's got let's see, the cell. Okay, so they're looking at the cell to the south of that. Put the radar down just a little bit there, Jeff, down in parts of southern Bartow. This was an area that they're looking at down perhaps in around Kingston. Bartow going into northwest Cherokee. So it may be this right here. All right, this is Bartow County. There's Floyd County. If we slide up this way, there's White and parts of Bartow County. Yeah, I think it may be right up in here.
Yeah, there's a new one now. It's for Bartow, Cherokee, Dawson, Gilmer, Gordon, Pickens.
Okay.
Until 3:45.
All right.
So that I assume it's going to be maybe with that little bit that's outside of Cave Spring, maybe.
Yep. All right.
That's all I can kind of see on there. But
yeah, I think let's go up this way perhaps.
Okay.
Let's just see if there's something that's brewing in this area. Or you think it's going to be down more and further to the south then? I'm assuming.
So
we're watching this in real time. That's what we're trying to analyze on the fly, and you're kind of getting a little bit behind the curtain here. So this warning looks like it's not going to materialize and extend more back up in Gilmer. I think it's more down to the southwest of that's going to be the concern. We're looking at this.
So I guess no. I guess it's this area just south of Fairmont.
Okay.
So is that what you were saying earlier?
Yeah. Right.
So that's what's going to be moving up into Pickens, and so this area here.
So it's got Pine Log. It says located about 4 miles northwest of Pine Log. And there's two areas actually we're looking at. One near Ranger, east of Calhoun, and another there in Pine Log. So interesting. So we've got two areas that we've been looking at. So let's see where the polygon goes now. So this is it encompasses a large spot. So I think the National Weather Service is concerned about looking at this with this line that you can get something spinning up rather quickly just in a moment's notice. Let's see what it looks like on storm relative velocity. See if we can pick out any spots right there as this now warning gets extended. So let me tell you the areas that the warning is under. All right, so we've got parts of Bartow County, Cherokee County, go up into Gilmer County. That area now under a tornado warning, and that's a good chunk in Pickens County. So we got Pickens, right? You got a little bit of Cherokee, so it's not Canton. So Canton, you're not under a tornado warning. Woodstock, not under a tornado warning, but you are going to get some really gusty winds with this for sure. But the areas outside of Fairmont, Jasper, and then just to the south of Ellijay, that's the area now under the polygon, or in the polygon. There's the active tornado warning that is rolling in that direction. With this line of storms, they've been producing 70-something mile-an-hour winds. So with you're in this polygon now, I'm certainly weather aware. I'm thinking about going to my tornado safety place. That's the interior room, someplace away from windows and doors. You want to put as many walls between you and the tornado. That's the thing. And obviously, if you can get below ground in a basement, that's better. It's the best, actually. And then make sure that you have something on your head. Make sure you have something on your feet. And so after the fact, if you have to go out, there might be some debris that the tornado has produced. So this is Fairmont now, and that's under the tornado warning. And Jeff's plotted on there 82-mile-an-hour winds. So even if it's not rotating, that's still going to do some damage. And we saw that next door in Alabama earlier today and into the first part of the afternoon. So let's see, we've got that's a severe thunderstorm warning now all across that area if you're not under the tornado warning. So the tornado warning is for parts of Bartow, Cherokee, Dawson, Gilmer, Gordon, and Pickens. But it's basically a good chunk of Pickens and Gilmer County. And this is all north of Atlanta. This is going off now at 65 miles an hour. So these are the areas now be under the gun. Certainly Carter's Lake Marina, Talking Rock here in the next 11 minutes. Jasper in 14 minutes, gives you some time. Pickens High School, 15 minutes. Don't know what the situation is there with the schools now, and schools letting out or not letting out. Here's we're at 3:18 in the afternoon. Oak Hill at 20 minutes, Cartacay in 21, Rolston in 24. All those locations well north of Atlanta. So we're trying to find a couple areas of rotation. They're not as pronounced as you would find perhaps in a supercell environment when we have a big tornado outbreak. These are tough. These just kind of spin up and they spin down. They spin up, but as they carry the momentum from west to east, they're carrying it with it quite a bit of rain, quite a bit of wind as well. The rainfall has been kind of spotty, meaning it's been heavy as this is going on, but then it's gone. So flooding certainly not much of an issue. Jeff has this on our debris detector, or what we call the correlation coefficient. We're trying to find out if something has been lofted with these storms, and nothing really pops right now in that area within the polygon. So we got a lot going on this particular map. So you can see that all this is now moved to the northeast of I-75. There's 575 making its way out of Canton up towards Nelson. Again, most of Cherokee County not under a tornado warning. Perhaps there have been sirens sounding in places like Holly Springs and Canton. Don't know why. You're not in the polygon. It's kind of why we say you don't rely on sirens as your information for severe weather. Sirens were produced to let people know on the outside, if you're outside, that there might be something going on, not for inside. That's what we have apps for, and no weather radios to let you know. And certainly if you had an app and you're in Canton, it wouldn't sound, but if you're in Jasper, it would, because you're inside that polygon. Same for Ellijay up there in Gilmer County and in Pickens County. So Jeff, let's dive down into that again and see if we can pick up any sort of thing. That's pretty bright there on the other side of Fairmont, but not seeing rotation. I mean, right, we're Talmadge, Jerusalem, look at that, 84 miles an hour. So that's pretty intense. 79, yeah, that's, again, we're just inside there in parts of Gordon County, and that we'll see no reports of any damage as of yet. We're monitoring that as well. We've had some trees down in a lot of spots in Metro Atlanta. And Jeff, if you can take this and broaden the view back out, and let's for a second pop on the reflectivity again. Let folks kind of get a bearing of, we kind of reset the stage. So here we are in Atlanta. The yellow just joined us, indicating severe thunderstorm warnings, winds up to 60 miles an hour, and we've certainly seen that. Then the red polygon that's flashing is indicating a tornado warning. And we had two different rotations that the National Weather Service pulled the trigger on that included parts of Gordon County, Pickens County, and Gilmer County, and a little bit of sliver there of Cherokee. So that's what we've been watching. Further north of that, you've been running into more severe thunderstorm warnings. It includes now parts of Union County, Fannin County, a little bit of Lumpkin County, and that's for winds in excess of 60 miles an hour, but we've seen winds in excess of 70 as well. So that's a severe thunderstorm warning up there in Fannin County until 4 o'clock. So this whole line racing this direction about 60, 65 miles an hour. Down on the tail end of it, it gets a little slimmer. Still, the wind is going to be a factor, but we're not picking up lightning down that way. We are picking up some gusty winds, though, and that has prompted that warning down in Haralson County until 3:45. So this is that intense line that we were looking at last night. Remember, it was out into Texas, said it was going to be rolling this way, kind of got quiet during the night and started ramping up during the heating of the day. These are just some showers out there. That's what we've been watching, seeing if any of these are going to flare up into anything. So far, they have not, and that's great news, and into an environment that's not supportive of a severe thunderstorm. There goes the line back down towards Talladega. I will tell you, in Talladega, we got report of some wind damage down there. A tree fell on a vehicle, and they have a fatality down there. So that certainly can happen with the line of storm. They did not have a severe storm warning. This was just a gradient wind that knocked down a tree on top of a vehicle. So active severe thunderstorm warning, Haralson County, Polk County, all the way into areas of Bartow County. But it's the area up here, right, Fairmont now moving into the Pickens County line. Now it looks like the strongest winds have moved into western Pickens County. That's under the tornado warning. Jeff, can you? Yeah, there we go. Look at, see if you're not seeing any rotation with this. That's what's odd about this. Let's see if we've got any on the storm relative velocity. And let's see, this is the red. This is moving away from the radar site to the south. This is moving toward. We look for the couplets, but we don't see anything there. But the Weather Service has picked up something that prompted this warning as things quickly spin up with the system that's racing off to the east about 60, 65 miles an hour. All right, let me see what they're saying, Jeff. Take that and put a track on it and let the folks know what's going on. What cities?
There you go. You can see with that one cell there moving off to the northeast, 74 miles an hour right now is what the computer is telling us. So that is just an incredible speed off to the north and east. You usually don't see thunderstorms moving all that fast, but that's just indicative of how strong the winds are aloft, and that's what's prompting these tornado warnings. But that cell right there, that's going to continue moving off to the northeast. So Pickens High School in about 13 minutes, that's going to be headed your way. Also the Oak Hill area in about 16 minutes. You can see Carter's Lake Marina. You can really hardly have any time as that makes its way up to the northeast rather rapidly. Again, about 74 miles an hour. But that storm, that is it. That's the only one that we have that has any rotation or possible rotation with it. That's the one that prompted this tornado warning. But again, we're going to hold on to it as long as the National Weather Service says that there is a possible tornado with that cell. But it's right now it's kind of hard to tell where it is. But then again, the storm is really pretty far away from the radar site. So the actual radar beam right now is shooting about 5,000 feet above the ground just to capture these images. So you're gonna get at times some erroneous type of information with the cells that far away from the radar site. So anyways, but they're seeing some rotation. So again, got to be weather aware, especially in those areas up around Jasper and all the way up toward Ellijay, as that storm just continues to race so quick off to the northeast at about 75 miles an hour.
Yeah, as we look at that cell, new information there, Jeff, coming in, where this now, you can see how they've kind of squished the tornado warning to include parts of Pickens County, Gilmer County, and just a little bit of Dawson County up there in the top of that county, the northern part of that county. So we've kind of sound the all clear there in Gordon County and in Cherokee County. So some good news there. But we're still looking at the possibility of this thing continuing to spin. But we've seen winds in excess of 70 miles an hour with that. Looking down towards the southwest of that, the severe thunderstorm warnings continue just to the west of Atlanta. Now this line now has, as Jeff pointed out, moving off pretty rapidly. The tail end of it, and see, it's kind of lifting up in this direction. So the folks in the metro area probably under the gun here in the next hour or so. So that's kind of right on target of what we were talking about between 4 and 5 o'clock there in the afternoon rush. So look how the tornado warning now. There it is. It was pretty broad. Now it's kind of tightened up. So let's kind of drill down into that area. And as you can see, get your bearings. All right, there's Jasper. There's Nelson. And as it rolls on in that area, we had a couple areas that we saw that were spinning up. It doesn't have that classic look of the hook. You know, when we look at the reflectivity, these things are awful hard to sit there and try to dissect as we roll into the line of the front, right, and where this little tight rotation may take place. But we are seeing tremendous amount of wind. So heads up, Jasper, this is coming your way. If I'm in Jasper, even though it may not be a tornado, you're looking at 70, 80 mile an hour winds. I would certainly be in a safe place away from windows and doors, making sure that I'm inside an interior place and protecting my head, because things can come down. Trees can come down, roofs can come off, sides of buildings up under the eaves. The wind can get in there and do some damage as well. So there's a little bit of Dawson County. So Dawsonville, you're not in this. This is not your storm yet. You're going to see some storms, but you're not under the warned storm. Ellijay, you're not in this as well. You got a little sliver there to the southeast of you in Gilmer County, but does not include Ellijay. But Jasper, certainly under the gun. Fairmont, no longer. Waleska's not in that polygon, although they're in the polygon of a severe thunderstorm warning, because that line's coming your way. It's going to produce 60+ mile an hour winds. So any place that we have a thunderstorm, just keep in mind you can have winds up to that speed. Also, out ahead of the system and behind it, we're still going to deal with some gusty winds. It could be up around 40 and 50 miles an hour. So you know what that can do to tree limbs, and you get the wet soil, the saturated soil, even trees can come down. So that's something we'll be watching over the next couple of hours. So the tornado threat now has just been right along the line. We haven't seen anything, thank goodness, spin up in this area. But as we showed you earlier, that spot out there in Polk County, Haralson County, got a few breaks in the clouds. That may add a little bit of the instability to see if we can translate some of that down, feed that system, that storm. And then as they rotate, because we're getting shear in the atmosphere, we talked about the wind this way at the surface, coming this way in the mid-levels, get that twisting motion, and that can certainly support a tornadic storm right along the line. We're not seeing anything, thank goodness, out ahead of that line other than just some spotty showers. But right now, we've been monitoring that tornado warning there in Pickens County, right in the heart of Jasper. So if you're in Jasper right now, now's the time you go to your tornado safety place. Let's dive back down into that, Jeff, and see what's cooking in that particular cell. See, we've got an update here from our friends at the National Weather Service. They're monitoring that as well. They've gotten all sorts of trees down, according to in the city of Waleska in Cherokee County. And then we're also seeing, let's see, we're looking at some trees down along I-75, transformers blown. Yeah, you can imagine with the amount of wind that we're seeing with this, even though probably not in the tornado warned area, you're still going to see some wind damage. So Jasper, you're kind of under the gun right now as the leading edge of that is coming in your direction. These things just have a cycle of their own. They're not what I'm looking for. Everything's not consistent with them of where something might try to spin up. You got to look at the topography of the land. We're starting to get into the foothills of the mountains. That can play a role as well. But all this is moving pretty rapidly at 60-something miles an hour. So that is certainly a lot of energy. So heads up, Talking Rock here in just about a minute. Emma-Colola in 14 minutes. We've got the Lumpkin County Airport there, 26 minutes, as well as Lumpkin County High School and City of Dahlonega within the half hour. You start feeling the effects of this line of intense storms with the possibility of some rotation with that, and the tornado warning being extended into your area if indeed this is holding together. But right now it looks like it's not, but you're still going to have the wind, right? You're still going to get the wind that's going to be damaging, and that stretches from the mountains of North Georgia all the way through the western suburbs. It looks like the back edge of this now is pushing through Rome, and then we start getting into the heavily populated areas of metro Atlanta, parts of Cherokee County, Cobb County, Paulding, and then into the downtown area. But look how you've got more activity up here, and we've lost some of the lightning, meaning we're not producing that. That's great news. And then you look down here across the southwest, and the line or the ribbon of these intense thunderstorms, well, they're getting narrower and narrower. So we don't have that warning over here in Cleveland County. We probably have some gusty wind with that. Now heads up Tallapoosa and Buchanan, because that line is knocking on your door right now. But it's the area up there. The reason we're on the air is we have that Pickens County storm that we're looking at and seeing we still have the rotation in that area. So, Jeff, we put it on the velocity mode, and we're far from the radar site, so we're kind of shooting the beam. Right, the beam's here, and it continues to rise. These things typically are a little shallower, and so you could probably go right over the top of it. So now it looks like the strongest of those winds have moved off to the east of Jasper, so it's rolled on through, but we're not seeing any sort of a couplet or rotation. Look at that. How about that? 100 miles an hour. What's that altitude there, Jeff?
That's pretty high up. I mean, there's about 5,600 feet above the surface. So,
well, yeah.
I mean, those could be the winds, could be catching those winds that are that high aloft off of the radar beam there. But that just shows you, even if that's aloft, that stuff can be carried down to the ground in a thunderstorm, and that's your straight line wind. So that's what those folks in that portion of Pickens County could be dealing with, and then hop over the county line over into northern Dawson County. That's coming your way. So get ready over there in that part of Dawson County as that cell continues to make its way up to the north and east. And again, these are continuing to move very, very fast. They're moving at about 70 miles an hour. That's because that's how strong the wind is up there, pushing those thunderstorms up to the northeast at that rate of speed. But again, it just goes to show that even if these aren't tornadoes, they are thunderstorms that can do a lot of damage when you have that much wind, not only at the surface, but as you start going higher up in the atmosphere. And again, we do have those wind advisories in effect until 11 o'clock tonight, so we're going to have surface winds. Even without thunderstorms or anything like that, you're still going to experience wind gusts today, maybe 40, 45 miles an hour. And that in itself can do some damage.
And then they expanded the high wind warning, some counties off to the west and North Georgia, for even gusts higher than that. So that's outside the realm of the actual thunderstorms. And even though this line is going to pull on through, we're still going to get the gusty winds into the evening hours for sure. But boy, that is impressive right there with 80 plus mile an hour winds just to the northeast of Jasper right now. This area holding on to the tornado warning. You can see that it's butting up right there onto the Dawson County line. And it looks like that this probably, the current fashion hopefully will not be extended, but you're still going to get the wind. It's just we can't see the rotation that far up into the atmosphere right now. And you broaden the view back out there. And we look down here to the southwest, and we're not seeing anything much at all. But man, that line, that was one heck of a line that has kind of stayed together, rolling in here from Alabama. And we just have a lot of wind, got a lot of energy in the atmosphere. Thank goodness we didn't have the ripe instability. We had the cloud cover helped us. Temperatures helped us this afternoon in this area up here in North Georgia. Certainly, they're trying to get it back into the 70s here, but we didn't have a whole lot in the way of any breaks in the clouds. But man, the rainfall came down pretty good across a lot of areas. We're looking at the rotation tracker. This is going back into seeing if we can get some sort of rotation. That was the cell just to the outskirts of Adairsville, kind of picked up a little bit there into the west of Jasper, but not anything that was alarming, that when you look at it, just kind of stands out. These are some of the tools that we're using on Fox 5 Live Viper to check that out. That is minimal. Don't want to minimize if there's been damage and so forth, but certainly nothing that kind of jumps out and says, oh my, that was something. It's regardless of this is the debris detector, seeing if anything's been aloft. Of course, that would be something, would start getting things that get lofted up. And with the storms we had back in January, we saw things lofted up pretty high, 15, 20,000 feet into the atmosphere. And so it was kind of a clear cut that there was something going on with that tornado. Not so much here with this one here this afternoon, but we are looking at quite a bit of wind. Rain really hadn't been much of an issue that we know of, as far as it's kind of splash and dash. They're out of here. And then we've had showers out ahead of it, and that certainly helped as we're looking at the stability of the atmosphere. This is the rainfall gets a little heavier, perhaps that back here across parts of Calhoun and Rome. Yeah, probably an inch plus in some areas, but came down in short order. That can cause a little bit of ponding on area roads, but then quickly will run off, and there's nothing coming in behind that as far as the rainfall is concerned. I'm trying to see, we got a few more minutes left perhaps on this tornado warning if they decide. We're getting reports of some roof damage near Woodstock. That's great. The Weather Service says seeing a downward trend of the tornadic storm in Pickens. That's great. Rotation has broadened and lightning has diminished. Remember that, Jeff? We saw that flare up of the lightning in the area, but right now within that polygon, we're just not seeing any lightning. So great. That's good news as far as sustaining a tornado. But that warning now still continues for Pickens County, a little bit of Gilmer County, and now until 3:45. So we just got a few more minutes left in that. We're going to find, as this kind of slides through, still some gusty winds behind it. We saw that in Huntsville. We've seen it in Birmingham. Still a little bit windy out that way. Things won't really kind of die down until later tonight. And then, thank goodness, we're looking at a very calm weekend. So once we can get these storms through here, that's going to be some great news and some smooth sailing for a lot of plans on the outdoors. But in the meantime, we'll have to continue to watch this and see if anything else flares up. The red here on the map that Jeff's put on there, that is the tornado watch coming out of the Storm Prediction Center out there in Norman, Oklahoma. If you followed us all week, Ryan Beasley earlier in the morning, Jeff today, we were showing you the rotation potential, and it was really high. In fact, in some areas it was off the charts because we had so much wind in the atmosphere. It was just whether we could get that working in concert with the line of the storms. Thank goodness we didn't do it in a large fashion. They didn't do it much in Alabama, but we still looking at a spin up. But what we're saying is that we had conditions that were kind of ripe for a big severe weather outbreak, but we were limited by the cloud cover and those somewhat cooler temperatures. Now, they extended the tornado watch to include parts of the northeastern suburbs all the way up into South Carolina. But this is helping here with these just kind of scattered showers skirting across the area, because obviously you got the showers, you don't have breaks in the clouds, and you can't develop that instability that would need. So we'll have to keep an eye on that here on into the evening. Probably going to get these counties shaded in the red here getting dropped from the tornado watch here pretty quickly as we get into the latter stages of the afternoon. Jeff on Fox 5 Live, Viper's gone back down into the storm here in Pickens County. It does look like the strongest winds now have moved over in areas of Dawson County, not Dawsonville, but up here in the northwestern reaches. And wow, looking at those hydrometeors telling us that, hey, 94 miles an hour, 103 miles an hour. We'll see what that wind gets translated back down to the surface, but that is something going on up there in areas of Dawson County right now. So we can kind of sound the all clear there for Jasper, certainly for areas south in southern Pickens County. You folks there in Gilmer County, I think you're going to experience some wind, but you're not seeing any of the possibility of that rotation. Ellijay's fine, Blue Ridge is fine, Blairsville, other than the wind being generated by the thunderstorm. So be on the lookout for that. Back out to the northwest, all is done. So now we just kind of sit here in metro Atlanta and we wait. We wait on these storms that are going to come rocking and on through here over the next couple of hours. And we'll just have to see if we're going to have any sort of rotation with those. Reports of kind of, I would say, minimal damage. That's what we've gotten so far. Trees down, that sort of thing. There are some power outages, but we're not seeing anything widespread across the area. But this is a good line here, stretching from Blairsville all the way down to Cedartown. So within that, you're probably going to have a little bit of damage and so forth. Jeff, what you got?
So the tornado warning now has been expired for Dawson, Gilmer, and Pickens.
Okay.
So
all right,
it's all clear on that.
All clear on that. All right, so here we are at 3:40 in the afternoon, and if we have no tornado warning there across the area, Jeff and I are going to be here continuing to monitor this line of storms. Again, we've got the crews out looking for damage, and certainly if you have any images your way and it's safe to do so, we'd love to see them if you have some sort of storm damage and trees down and so forth. We're going to have complete coverage for you coming up here in just a moment on Fox 5 News at 4. And remember, it's a great thing to make sure you download a Fox 5 Storm Team app, because you can get weather information immediately wherever you are. It's free. You can follow the radar, and of course we're going to give you all sorts of weather alerts.